Although Lake Tahoe provides endless recreation, beautiful landscapes, and wonderful communities, living here means living with wildfire. As the North Tahoe and Meeks Bay Fire Protection Districts prepare for the season, residents can do the same. Here's how. Know your region's seasonal fire restrictions.
So effective June 15th this year, the only thing allowable is really natural gas and propane fire pits and barbecues, and some pellet smokers. Wood burning and charcoal burning is not allowed during the summer season here.
Expect this fire season to be longer and more active than in recent years.
This year, despite sort of a not quite miracle March, our fuels are really dry, and you can just see it. And that's how dry things are here. And the concern this year, of course, is with the winds we've had recently, this drying of fuels above 6,000 feet, our fuel bed is ready to carry fire. And so we have to be super vigilant this year. And so the campfire ban, the restrictions on barbecue, and the absolute ban on fireworks, they're super important to not having ignitions. So what I think is going to happen is we're going to have an early season. It's going to be a protracted season. I think by predictive services, California is already starting to have more fires this year than they had last year at the same time. I think we're going to see what was going to be a really long fire season.
Look out for red flag fire weather warnings.
So red flag warnings are posted by the National Weather Service. The important thing is that they use meteorological data. We talked about a little bit about fuel moistures, but they also look at the humidity and the winds and the temperatures. They first issue critical weather alerts, red flag watches, advisories, and then the warnings. And when the warning's in place, the most immediate notice to people is they got to be extra careful and absolutely no open flame devices. And so those other fires I talked about, propane and natural gas, are absolutely, everything's banned. And that goes for North Tahoe, Truckee, North Star, Squaw Valley, Incline Village, and probably most of the basin as well.
Be prepared for a public safety power shutoff.
So public safety power shutoffs, and they're called lots of different things, each jurisdiction, but really the crux of the issue is that in the recent years, some of the power companies have been held responsible for damage done from wildfires that were related to ignition sources based on their equipment. And they've done a lot of changes since then. They're hardening their systems and removing hazard trees and fuels from around their power lines, putting up wire and equipment that's resistive to causing ignitions. But one of their tactics is very much affects all of us, which is they're going to shut the power off during very, very high critical fire danger days.
Prepare to be without power for up to 3 days.
I think the power shutoff piece is pretty easy. It's kind of similar to just throwing a breaker. Restoring it, each agency has its own protocols, but they generally have to inspect all their lines for safety. So it takes a little longer to turn it back on. I think a good rule of thumb that I've heard from the power companies is about 72 hours. In most cases, they've been able to restore power in 3 full days. I think if you prepare for 3 full days and they can do it quicker, good. I think in most cases they'll try to get power back that quickly, but being prepared for a little longer is probably better safe than sorry on that one.
Learn what agencies are doing to protect Lake Tahoe communities from wildfire.
Here in Tahoe, I hope everyone by now has heard of the Tahoe Fire and Fuels team. Together, over 22 partner agencies have worked to target community wildfire protection plan treatment through our multi-jurisdictional strategy. This has pulled together over 85,000 acres of treatment since the Angora fire, and we're continuing moving forward and carrying out additional wildland-urban interface treatments within our community cores and also on the outside of our communities. Exciting within North Tahoe Fire and Meeks Bay Fire is the Tahoe Program Timberland Environmental Impact Report. We're putting together a very large planning effort, taking care of CEQA analysis, Forest Practice Act analysis, and making sure we can really put together an increased pace and scale of projects to carry out the remainder of our community wildfire protection plans and retreatments of these forested acres.
Become a Firewise USA community.
Right next to fuel reduction comes communities. Within communities, we're strongly encouraging the Firewise USA program. This program is a program at a national level that gives communities certification for all of their fuel reduction, fire reduction, home hardening, and defensible space efforts. If you have more questions, please give me a call, Eric Hornvet. I'm the Forest Fuels Coordinator at North Tahoe Fire, and I'd be happy to talk with you, go together a community plan, work together through your actions that you can take in your community, and become a recognized Firewise community, usually in about a year process.
Request a free defensible space inspection or chipping service.
Since we're rolling right into fire season here, I really want everyone to focus on their house. Start with your roof, decks, stairs, porches, and the first 5 feet around your house, and make sure it's completely clear of combustible items, vegetation, and really look closely at what you have stored in and around your home that may be flammable. Now's the time of year to prepare your home for embers and make sure that that ignition component right next to your home is as hardened as possible. After you've looked at your home, start looking at the vegetation within 30 feet of your home, making sure you're reducing surface fuels, separating shrubs, removing small diameter trees, reducing the continuity of fuels, and overall creating a landscape that is broken up and mosaicked so that fire cannot continually move from your vegetation to your home. Fortunately, here in Lake Tahoe, every fire protection district is offering free educational defensible space inspections. All you need to do is go to the website for your local fire district and submit a request or give them a phone call to schedule an inspection. Here we can come out to your property, look at your home, look at your property, and give you tips and tricks on how you can create effective defensible space and retrofits you can do to your house to reduce your vulnerability to wildfire. In order to support your efforts with defensible space, we also have free community curbside chipping. Again, go to your local fire protection district, request a chipping service, and we're usually out at your property within 2 to 4 weeks to chip any of the tree limbs, shrubs, and material up to 6-inch diameter.
Harden your home's ember vulnerabilities.
Now that we've talked defensible space and vegetation, let's look back at your home. Home hardening is really important. Home hardening is things you can do to reduce your home's vulnerability to embers and just general wildfire. There's some really cheap things you can do to reduce ember zones into your home. These include 1/16 inch to 1/8 inch wire mesh over any of your vents on your home. Make sure that you have up-to-date double-pane windows with 1 layer of tempered glass. Reduce the number of combustible attachments to your home. If you're replacing decks, balconies, railings, you can always make that first 5 feet attachment out of metal instead of wood. Again with that, make sure you're really looking at what you're storing next to your home. The items that we put next to our house, including our favorite patio chairs with synthetic cushions, are very combustible items, and simply being able to store those when we're in high fire danger or tucking those back away in your house when you leave your property is a great way to reduce some combustible components on your property.
Sign up for emergency notifications.
So it's really important for our residents to make sure that they are registered with their local emergency officials. For Placer County, you want to go to Placer Alert and sign up. Washoe County is Washoe County Code Red. El Dorado County is El Dorado County Code Red. It's also important, if you have a smartphone, download the CAL FIRE app. CAL FIRE will notify you if there's a fire that's near you. So all of these different avenues are very important for people to make sure that they're proactive. There is not a data cloud in the sky that just has everybody's information and is going to notify them. We really do have to take that step to register.
Prepare for a potential evacuation.
Some of the things that you want to consider is any medications that you might need, anything you might need for your pet. Just assume if you have to evacuate that it's going to be for a minimum of 72 hours. So, the things that you would take maybe on a good weekend camping trip, think of some of those things to where you could sustain yourself, sustain your family. And it's really important that you have an actual plan. You have a contact list of people that are in other zip codes that you can touch base with if you and your family get separated, or if you can't get a hold of each other, you have that third party that you can all reach out to, and that person can make sure that everybody is okay. It's important for you to actually have a list of phone numbers if you don't have everything memorized, so that you're not reliant on your cell phone if something should go wrong with it. Another thing that you really want to consider is practicing your plan. You want to have a plan to be able to evacuate your house if it were filled with smoke and you couldn't see well enough to get out. So start with that and practice with your family and with your pets, and do so in the daytime as well as at night so you can get a real feel for the conditions that you might be experiencing. Another thing that's important is knowing all of the different ways out of your community to the major highways, and practice those plans as well and any alternate routes that you might have to take. But the biggest thing is to practice evacuating your house. Grab your go kit, grab your family, grab your kids, grab your pets, and load everybody in the car, and understand that if you're doing this, everybody is going to be in a panic. People are going to be very stressed. Your pets and your kids are going to feel that. So if they can rely on their muscle memory because they've practiced it enough times, their feet are going to take one step in front of the other and get them where they need to go. So really important that you take the time to practice and do it at least twice a year so you can make sure that everything in your kit is fresh. Make sure that your medications have not expired, that you have a spare set of glasses or contact lenses, whatever it is that you might need, and have those things so that your go kit is good and is current for you. An easy way to remember practicing your plan twice a year is to think about when you're putting out candy for the kids at Easter and at Halloween. Another thing to think of is when you take the family out to see a professional fireworks show, maybe New Year's Eve and 4th of July. Those are good reminders for you to set to make sure that you get your kits updated. Another is when you check your smoke detectors when the time changes twice a year. Those are all good triggers to help you remember to go ahead and practice that plan, refresh your kits, do that run through with the family in the daytime hours and after dark. And if you can turn it into a block party, set up a competition and see who can get out of their house the fastest. It's another good opportunity to make sure if you have any vulnerable people in your community that you know how to help them, because they're going to definitely need more time to get out and to get to safety. So if maybe somebody is relies on a wheelchair or relies on some other kind of device like that, you know how to help them in and out of it without hurting them. The same thing with any kind of frail health condition. You know, don't be shy about that. Get comfortable with your neighbors so that they know they can count on you, and you know what you're doing, because you are going to be stressed, and everybody will be feeling a little bit of a panic, but if you've run through it before, you're going to get through it a lot easier.
Get involved with the Tahoe network of fire-adapted communities.
All right, yeah, so I'm Amanda, and I'm here with the Tahoe network of fire-adapted communities. It's a collaborative effort, and we are run by the Tahoe Resource Conservation District. We work with public land management agencies, all the fire districts in the basin, and neighborhoods. And basically the Tahoe Resource Conservation District manages grants and allocates funding for fire districts in the basin to provide services for neighborhoods such as defensible space inspections, chipping services, and then we also work directly with communities as well. So our goal is to prepare people and property for wildfire by coordinating efforts on a neighborhood scale. We host community events, we work with neighborhood leaders, and those are volunteers who work in neighborhoods and distribute resources to their neighbors and their families to educate people about wildfire. So the goal is to really just have this collaborative effort in the basin to make sure all people in neighborhoods are prepared.